Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Multiple tornadoes touching down across Texas. The massive funnel cloud barreling towards Sulphur Springs. Another possible twister spotted hours before. Dangerous storms still tearing across the South. Nearly 30 million people under alert. And out west, icy conditions triggering a 100-car pileup. We'll bring you the latest on this volatile system in moments. Also tonight, the closing arguments from the campaign trail. Just 4 days to go until the critical midterm elections. President Biden, Obama, and Trump blitzing battleground Pennsylvania in the final days of the campaign. The surprise endorsement in that high-stakes Senate race. Oprah, who launched Dr. Oz's career, throwing her support behind his opponent. Peter Alexander is there, and our teams spread out in key states across the country tonight. The doomsday prediction, the dire outlook on the economy, why one of the most prominent hedge fund managers on the planet is warning the world could be headed for the worst economic crisis since World War II. The arrest in New York City after a woman was violently assaulted in a popular park. Why police now believe that suspect could be connected to a string of disturbing incidents. Why wasn't he in jail? Plus the wild car chase through Dallas, a suspect fleeing from police in a stolen car with a baby on board. How the dramatic pursuit came to an end. And are you feeling lucky? The Powerball jackpot, now $1.6 billion, the largest in history. But behind that massive total, the other numbers you need to know tonight. The one number that gets drawn more than any other, and the top 10 states where residents have hit it big in the past. Top story starts right now. And good evening. We want to get right to that breaking news. There are multiple reports of tornadoes touching down in Texas as millions remain under alert. This confirmed tornado on the ground near Sulphur Springs. Take a look at the size of that. Residents urged to get inside and take cover. And another funnel cloud spotted near Paris, Texas. We have no word yet on any type of damage there. Millions still under alert as we head into tonight from Texas to Oklahoma up through the Mississippi Valley. High winds and hail expected as a threat of more tornadoes looms. And severe weather out west too. Snow and ice in Denver, triggering this 100-car pileup. Look at that. This happened during the busy morning commute, traffic brought to a standstill. But for more on the severe weather and that tornado outbreak in Texas, I want to get right to Bill Cairns, who's been tracking these storms for the last several hours. Bill, get us up to speed there. It looks like a lot of action on the radar.
Yeah, let's focus in on the Sulphur Springs one. That was the one we showed you the picture. You can see it looks like a wedge tornado in the background. You can see the video was taken from an intersection, and it was an obvious tornado on the ground. Numerous storm chasers were on that storm as it was crossing Interstate 30, and I can show you where Sulphur Springs is located right here. Now, downtown Sulphur Springs, it appears, was missed. So we're looking at this video. This must have been from Sulphur Springs looking west. So you can see where that little icon popped on the screen right here where my finger is. So if it was a hit on Sulphur Springs, it would be on the west side of town. It's close. You know, Sulphur Springs ends, and then it's a lot of open farmland and a lot of open fields. We're hoping that this large, confirmed, dangerous tornado, you know, Doppler radar was showing winds up to 120 miles per hour, was just outside the city limits. We're still waiting for confirmation. This only happened 20 to 30 minutes ago. I'm sure first responders are rushing to the scene, and we'll have updates for you if we get them during the show today. You know, if there's a lot of significant damage, or if we were lucky and it was just outside the city limits. So that's yet to be determined, but you can see how large of a tornado that was. You're looking at probably about 4 to 5 miles away from where this video was taken. So let me go back to the maps and show you who else we are worried about and other concerns, because we have numerous tornado warnings that are issued throughout areas of Texas. The Dallas-Fort Worth area, you are safe. The worst of your weather is over with. You are in the clear. But it's all of these areas to the east of you, all these little red polygons around Athens, one heading towards Betty, and also another one just north of Interstate 30. We have at least 5 different tornado-warned storms right now. Any of these could be containing a tornado. Of course, we're going to see the sun setting here shortly, so the storm chasers are going to lose visual on these tornadoes when they're on the ground, so you get a little less warnings with those. As far as storm reports go, we know we've had at least 2 confirmed tornadoes. We've also had numerous wind damage reports, a lot of hail reported with these storms too, and these storms will be pushing into Arkansas and Louisiana. Our tornado watch has now been extended till midnight, so it's going to be a late night, Tom, for friends from Little Rock to Fort Smith and right around Shreveport. Those storms are heading your way later this evening.
Bill, I want to ask you, did the folks in Texas, did they have enough warning that these tornadoes were coming?
Yes, we were under what we call a moderate risk of severe weather. That means we were expecting a severe weather outbreak in this area. They knew it when they woke up this morning. It was well advertised even yesterday, so no one should have been caught by surprise from this. There's a lot of tornado warning sirens in this area, too. So once these, those sirens are going off right now when people are rushing to their shelter. So no, Tom, no one should have been caught by surprise by these storms. We're just going to wait to find out if they hit populated areas or if these tornadoes, were out in open areas and didn't do much destruction.
And Bill, while I have you there, talk to me about what's happening with fall here on the East Coast and these unusually warm temperatures.
Yeah, this is a pretty wild stretch that we're going through. Typically in November, you get like 1 or 2 warm days, but we're in just this extended stretch, and this weekend is going to be no exception. It won't be till about Tuesday that everyone kind of cools off. Unseasonably warm all the way up to the Canadian border. People running 15, 20 degrees warmer than we should be. We're going to have at least 60 cities this weekend that'll be close to or at record high temperatures. It's going to be pretty extraordinary Saturday when you're talking northern Vermont, where they're waiting for the snow to fall at 75 degrees tomorrow, Tom.
Wow, that's so hard to believe. All right, Bill Cairns for us. Bill, we appreciate it. We'll check back with you if there's more tornado activity. The other major headline we're following tonight, just 4 days to go until the midterms. The biggest names in politics hitting the trail, making their final pitch to voters. President Biden today touting his better-than-expected jobs report. Take a look. 261,000 jobs added, the unemployment rate rising just slightly. And in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz fighting to the finish in that tight Senate race. The Republican candidate, of course, rising to fame as a TV doctor, appearing often on the Oprah Winfrey Show. But the woman who helped launch his career now throwing her support behind his competitor. Oprah saying if she could cast a ballot in Pennsylvania, it would be for the Democrat, John Fetterman. Our team tonight, live across 3 key battleground states. Ali Vitale is in Florida. Julie Sirkin is in Michigan. But Peter Alexander, who we start with, is in Pennsylvania. He leads us off tonight.
Tonight, the political power players, presidents past and present, preparing to converge on Pennsylvania. As Republicans blame Democrats for rising prices, President Biden today welcoming a better-than-expected jobs report. 261,000 new hires last month, even as the Federal Reserve tries to slow the economy and tame inflation.
Folks, our economy continues to grow and add jobs, even as gas prices continue to come down. But we got a lot more to do.
But fears of a recession still linger, with companies like Amazon and Apple freezing hiring, and Lyft planning to lay off 13% of its staff. Republicans seizing on the slight uptick in the unemployment rate. The RNC saying it's the worst jobs report this year. Here in Pennsylvania's tight Senate race, a surprise endorsement overnight. Oprah Winfrey, who gave Dr. Mehmet Oz his TV start nearly 2 decades ago, publicly backing Oz's Democratic opponent, John Fetterman.
But I will tell you all this, if I lived in Pennsylvania, I would have already cast my vote for John Fetterman for many reasons.
The Oz campaign responding in a statement, Dr. Oz loves Oprah and respects the fact that they have different politics. The state will host dueling visits tomorrow, with President Biden and former President Obama stumping together for Fetterman in Philadelphia, while former President Trump will rally his supporters for Oz across the state near Pittsburgh. The Senate race here could be decided by the suburbs of Philadelphia that propelled Mr. Trump in 2016, but proved key for Joe Biden 4 years later. Democrat Jess Brown, a mother of 2, is concerned about the rhetoric she hears from Republicans.
I'm scared. I don't align with their values. I don't align with the hate.
On Tuesday, she's voting for Fetterman, who's still recovering from a stroke.
Are you personally concerned about John Fetterman's health?
I am not. In terms of his ability to get the job done and to do a good job and to represent the issues that I care about, I'm not worried. He has my vote on Tuesday.
An hour away, Republican Janelle Kao homeschools 2 of her 3 children.
What's at stake in these midterms?
I think, honestly, the future of the nation.
For her, the Republicans' messaging on crime has hit close to home.
I'm worried about my children's safety, and that's a big concern for a lot of the other moms in the area, is the safety of our kids and our family.
And for his part, former President Trump is sending the strongest signal yet that he plans to run again in 2024. At a rally last night in Iowa, the former president repeated the lie that he won in 2020 and said he will, quote, very, very, very probably run again in 2024. He's expected to make it official this month, according to 2 sources familiar with his thinking, but they say that timing could slide. Tom?
Okay, Peter Alexander from Pennsylvania tonight. Let's move on now to those two other battleground states we are in tonight. Ali Vitale in Miami, Florida, and Julie Sirkin in Lansing, Michigan. Ali, I want to start with you. Polls have Senator Rubio with a pretty steady lead over his opponent. The Real Clear Politics average has him up about 7.5 points. That's a very comfortable spot when you consider how many tight Senate races there are right now. You caught up with Congresswoman Val Demings about critical counties like Miami-Dade and whether she can pull it off. Let's take a listen.
This is a place where Republicans have worked really hard to make inroads, and it looks like they could be able to even win Miami-Dade this cycle. Does that concern you?
The voters will decide that, and I'm not concerned one bit about that. Having served as a 27-year law enforcement officer, as a chief of police, who's on the grounds, not reading about what voters are going through the papers or in books, but really talking to people about real issues. The voters will decide, and the voters know. They can look at the last 24 years with Marco Rubio as their senator and look at what the struggles that they have faced 10 years ago and continue to face today. Again, there's only one party that has worked to lower costs and help to protect people that have to go to work every day and people who have had to go to work every day, and that's the Democratic Party.
So, Ali, clearly Demings is making this race about Rubio's record. That's her strategy. I think your question was brilliant, though, because I don't know if I've ever seen Miami-Dade go Republican-like the way you were talking. Obviously, they have made inroads and like that, but you can't win the state if you don't win South Florida. Be very hard.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you know this. Because Miami-Dade County is a blue stronghold here in Florida. Over the course of the last 10 to 12 years, Democrats have relied on that so heavily. Just to give you an idea, Hillary Clinton won Miami-Dade County by 30 points in 2016. And then just 4 years later, Donald Trump only lost it by 7. That's a trend line that worried Democrats even a few years ago. But now as they look at the fact that DeSantis is running steadily ahead of Charlie Crist in his reelection battle, Rubio running about 7 points ahead of Val Demings in the Senate race, people are concerned about all of the investments that Republicans have made here from the Democratic side. There's a lot of concern that the stronghold of Miami-Dade County may end up falling this cycle. And look, I'm someone who's covered Florida for a long time. I know that you are too. This is a state where typically if someone wins or loses by 3 points, you're like, wow, that's a really big margin. The fact that you have polls consistently showing Republicans with 5 points and more in the lead just goes to show you the state of play here for Democrats in a state that has been going red consistently in national elections.
Ali, I want to switch gears here a little bit. I met you back in 2016 when we covered the Trump campaign, and there's some major news from current Florida resident and former president, of course, Donald Trump. As Peter mentioned, 2 sources tell NBC News that he's likely to announce his 2024 presidential run. It could be on the date of November 14th. That date I know is being floated. A lot of people are looking at Florida's current governor, Ron DeSantis, as a likely 2024 frontrunner. Do you think he's running his gubernatorial campaign as a preview of his upcoming face-off? Because he's in a lot of battleground states campaigning for other candidates as well.
Yeah, the shadow primary is well in swing right now, Tom, as Ron DeSantis and others who are likely to run in 2024 are also getting out there. It doesn't hurt the fact that DeSantis is sitting on more than $100 million in his war chest that he could easily leverage for a 2024 presidential run. He's someone who consistently comes up in polls at conservative gatherings, someone who could be an heir apparent to Trump. And frankly, he owes his governorship right now to Donald Trump, who endorsed him in 2018, helped him get through a primary, and then helped him ultimately win the governor's mansion. This time he's running a very different race, trying to separate himself, trying to show that he's a politician in his own right with his own record to run on. And then as far as Trump goes, you and I both learned during the time of 2015 and 2016 when we met on the trail not to get too wed to dates in Trump world. This is a man who can make decisions as he's on the stump, as he's willing to do it. He's actually coming here to Florida on Sunday to stump for Marco Rubio, not Ron DeSantis. DeSantis has his own thing going on, so the shadow primary there already has them head-to-head in some ways, Tom.
All right, Ali Vitale with a lot of good new reporting for us from Florida. Ali, we appreciate it. Now to Michigan, where we are watching multiple highly contested races. I want to get to Julie Sirkin. She's live from Lansing tonight for us. So, Julie, first question to you. I actually want to look at some of the down-ballot races, the Secretary of State race, and explain to our viewers why this one's so important.
Yeah, look, Tom, when you look at Michigan, it really is ground zero for this fight over democracy, because at the top of the ticket, Democratic incumbents for Attorney General, Governor, and of course Secretary of State, as you mentioned, are facing off with Republicans who are election deniers, many of them still denying the results of the 2020 election even today. I want to talk about the Secretary of State race, though, more specifically, because you have Jocelyn Benson, who oversaw the 2020 elections. She backed up the way that she handled them, but you have her challenger, Christina Caramo, who actually rose to prominence and got the attention of former President Trump and his endorsement by challenging the way that ballots were counted at a polling location in Detroit. Of course, those claims have been false, but even she is now launching a lawsuit trying to prevent voters in Detroit, predominantly black, I should add 80% of the electorate there is black, trying to prevent them and discount their mail-in ballots. So you can see still head-to-head on that issue here.
Yeah, I also want to ask you about the governor's race there. Of course, a lot of people know about Gretchen Whitmer going up against Tudor Dixon.
Yeah, exactly, Tom. And Gretchen Whitmer, look, in addition to democracy, abortion really is the #1 issue that she's been running on. And it's because in a state like Michigan, abortion is quite literally on the ballot. Proposal 3, voters will get to vote on that on Tuesday. Of course, for 2 weeks already, they've already been counting ballots. Many of them, including one woman I spoke to this week, said she went to vote already because of the issue of abortion. And that's why she backed Whitmer. But as you look at her versus Tudor Dixon, both women have shared their personal stories surrounding the issue of abortion and how their personal experience framed their outlook on it. Tudor Dixon, of course, not really mentioning that issue as much, but as the months have passed from the Supreme Court decision on Dobbs and Roe versus Wade, you could see the poll numbers on the Proposal 3 and Whitmer and Dixon tightening in this race. So we'll see what happens as we get to the finish line. I'll be here tomorrow covering those abortion events with Gretchen Whitmer.
All right, Julie Sirkin for us, Ali Vitale and Peter Alexander, we thank you all. We want to turn now from politics to the economy and the latest on Twitter, following the takeover by Elon Musk. The social media app beginning a massive job cuts and temporarily closing their offices worldwide. Tom Costello has the details.
It started late Thursday as now former Twitter employees started learning they'd been laid off. Looks like I'm unemployed, y'all, tweeted one. 8 months pregnant and have a 9-month-old. Just got cut off from laptop access, said another. Amid the layoffs and complaints, Musk changed his Twitter bio this week to Twitter Complaint Hotline Operator. Class action attorneys are reminding Musk he must give employees 60 days layoff notice under California and federal law.
Our recommendation is that employees be very careful about signing away their rights under the law.
Among those let go today, content and misinformation monitors just days before the midterm elections. Musk insists he's a free speech absolutist. But amid an uptick in anti-Semitic and racist tweets, some big advertisers have pulled back, including GM, Audi, Volkswagen, General Mills, reportedly Pfizer, and ad firm IPG, prompting Musk to tweet, Twitter has had a massive drop in revenue due to activist groups pressuring advertisers, even though nothing has changed with content moderation. And we did everything we could to appease the activists. Extremely messed up, he said. They're trying to destroy free speech in America. Musk is expected to soon charge $8 for a verified check next to users' names, potentially undermining an authenticity check.
It means that the blue check sort of loses its value as a verification device. The blue check will just mean that you have $8. It will not mean that you are who you say you are.
Several groups, including GLAAD, the ADL, NAACP, and Color for Change, that's one of the largest online civil rights groups. They say there's too much hate speech on Twitter, and they want advertisers now to disassociate themselves from it. That's a lot of the pressure right now on the advertisers. Tom?
Okay, Tom, we thank you for that. For more on the latest layoff news and the economic forecast heading into the holiday season, I want to bring in CNBC technology reporter Mackenzie Sigalos. So, Mackenzie, it's always troubling to hear about layoffs, especially as we head into the recession. You don't want anyone to ever lose their job. What is going on at Twitter? Is this Elon Musk cleaning house, or is this Elon Musk just trying to make a statement?
Well, I think a lot of people say, hey, this is not an isolated event. So at Twitter, yes, this is him making his mark in his first few weeks, making a lot of big changes. There's been blowback there that he's facing. But in terms of the implications more broadly, I think that a lot of people are saying, hey, this is not something that's just unique to Twitter. We've seen tech mass layoffs. Now, they're not in the range of 15%, which is what we're dealing with over at Twitter. But yes, 10 to 15% of workforces are being cut at other companies. You know, at Lyft, we're dealing with 13%. Stripe, which was the most valuable U.S. startup last year at a valuation of $95 billion, is losing 13% of its staff. But the big question is whether this ripples into other sectors, so media and banking.
All right, speaking of other sectors and the economy broadly, I want to turn to billionaire Paul Singer. He's one of the most successful hedge fund managers, maybe ever. He runs Elliott, and they sent out a letter to their investors, and I want to put up some of this on our screen right now. They said, the firm's saying, quote, the world is on the path to hyperinflation, which is the direct route to global societal collapse and civil or international strife. It is not baked, but that is the path that we are treading. Why is this fund's outlook something that the financial world pays attention to?
Well, people care about Paul Singer and Elliott Management because it's one of the world's biggest hedge funds. They have $56 billion in assets under management. Singer himself is reportedly worth $5.5 billion. And when you look at the fund's performance since it launched in 1977, they have had an average annual return that's reportedly north of 13%. Now, the S&P 500 during that same time has hovered around 11%. So obviously, they're doing a lot of things right. So when they say that the world is headed potentially towards its worst crisis since World War II, people are concerned.
But is this hype? Should people be worried? Should everyone be worried? Not only people that are investing with Paul Singer?
Well, right. I mean, you look at Singer's track record, and he talked about hyperinflation in 2010 and then 2011. And in 2016, he told investors to sell long-term bonds, and it didn't come to fruition then. But something feels different about it this time. That letter says that, hey, this is not like the 1987 financial crash. It's not like the dot-com boom and bust of the early 2000s or the 2008 global financial crisis.
Yeah, so this is all pretty extreme language. The Fed has taken steps, obviously, raising interest rates. We report this all the time, trying to prevent hyperinflation. We're starting to see layoffs. Unfortunately, this is what the Fed is trying to do. Is it working?
Well, so jobs report today, still pretty strong, but we're starting to see wages tick down and the layoffs that we talked about. And outside of the job sector, if you look at housing, for example, financial conditions are tightening, and that's what the Fed wants. Now, this hasn't shown up in inflation numbers yet, but if it does in the next few months and all this concern around hyperinflation, maybe you can rest easier at night. And if it doesn't, then I think the big question will be, what other tools do policymakers have to tamp down inflation? And that is not an easy question to answer.
Right. Mackenzie Segalis from CNBC. Thank you so much. Always love having you on.
Thank you.
Okay, we turn to the war in Ukraine now. The Pentagon announcing an additional $400 million in aid for Ukraine as Putin says 300,000 more soldiers have joined his army. And we've been showing you these images since the war started. Complete devastation across Ukraine, buildings leveled, entire towns wiped off the map. But tonight, a heartbreaking look at the war's impacts. Thousands of miles away in East Africa, Russian blockades in the Black Sea adding to a worsening hunger crisis there. Our Keir Simmons reports from the ground in Kenya tonight.
These children and their mothers in East Africa are thousands of miles from Ukraine, but the conflict has reached even them. Like little Losiki, now in the hospital because he's so sick and underfed. Russia's President Putin this week again threatened to stop ships full of staple foods bound for Africa from passing through a Russian blockade of the Black Sea. We flew to northern Kenya and visited this UNICEF-supported hospital, where we met Leia and severely malnourished Sarah. Leia says all of her livestock, which she relied on to feed her family, died in the worsening drought here.
How many meals a day do you have at home?
Just one, she says. Mary Aya from Sudan is here with 4-month-old son Basco. She told me she had no milk for her baby.
Mary Aya says life is much harder than it ever was. She has to decide which of her children get food.
Africa is itself a battleground, as America, its allies, and Russia fight for international support. You can see Russian flags in many African countries, President Putin said in a recent speech, suggesting people here are tired of living under Western, quote, dictates. But groups like the World Food Programme are simply fighting to feed millions in East Africa facing starvation, primarily caused by drought, now in its 5th year. and food from Ukraine will be crucial.
These food commodities are critical for our response in the Horn of Africa to reach the 22 million that are facing extreme food insecurity.
Back at the hospital, this nurse tells me every time a young patient dies,
it's like I'm the one who has lost that child.
That hospital has lost 48 children this year, many more than last year. And the crisis here is escalating. Tom, neighboring Somalia is now on the brink of famine. There has been so much attention on Ukraine. In the months to come, I think you're going to hear a lot more about this part of the world for all the wrong reasons. Tom?
The ripple effects of this horrific war. Okay, Keir Simmons reporting from Kenya. Still ahead tonight, the joggers attacked. Multiple women assaulted in New York City, including one inside the famed Central Park. The investigation now underway. Plus, the wild car chase in Texas. The suspects fleeing from police. But get this, with a baby in the back seat. How this all came to an end at a daycare. And the arrest at Disney World. How a federal officer on vacation finally caught a fugitive they've been chasing forever. Stay with us. Now we turn to the story of two sexual assaults occurring on the same morning. One involving a jogger brutally attacked and raped on a Manhattan pier just before dawn on Thursday. This according to the police, and a suspect who police say may be linked to at least two other sexual assaults now arrested and custody. Our correspondent Marissa Parra has more.
Tonight, a man is charged with sexually assaulting a woman in a New York City park. Seen here being taken into custody. Police say they believe suspect Carl Feiner may be a repeat offender.
It feels really scary, and I feel like it gets scarier to be a woman every single day.
One woman brutally attacked just before 6 in the morning at Pier 45 Park as she was going for a jog. Police say on Thursday, the 43-year-old victim was choked, robbed, and raped by the suspect before he took off.
Clearly, she had been injured or fell or something like that, and she had blood on her elbows right here.
Another jogger nearby took notice of the woman in distress and called 911.
She was just kind of I need help, over and over again.
The criminal complaint saying that 28-year-old Feiner was taken into custody that afternoon after he tried to purchase a bus ticket with a stolen debit card. Feiner was wanted in at least two other sexual assaults and robberies this year. Police say the first assault happened back in March, just blocks away at another pier, the other on a service road near the East River. NBC News was unable to reach Feiner or his attorney for comment. This as prep is underway for the New York City Marathon, the city's premier running event. Women strolling through Central Park tell us they remain on high alert.
Normally you are carrying this when you are alone.
Yes. I just really stay aware. I stay in places that are well lit.
Sexual assaults in the park strike a chord in the city. The infamous Central Park jogger attack in 1989, an enduring stain. And almost a year ago this week, another woman assaulted while running near the skating rink. Rapes, notoriously underreported, are up 11% from last year in the city, but still tracking lower than levels in 2018 and 2019.
New Yorkers must be safe. They're not safe enough for me.
The mayor saying public safety is a top priority as the 7 major crimes the NYPD tracks are overall up almost 30% this year, their highest levels since 2006. So far, police have released little about a different sexual assault Thursday, which police have not said was related. This time in Central Park, uptown around 1:30 in the morning. They say they have a person of interest in custody, but no charges have been filed.
Okay, correspondent Marissa Parra joins us now from Central Park. You're in Central Park, days away from the marathon where the finish line is. We'll get to that in a moment. We know the suspect is in custody you were talking about earlier in your piece there, and this unfortunately is not surprising. He has a very long record. I know you've discovered.
Yeah, we did some digging into his record. We found at least 20 prior arrests over the last 7 years. And it was just weeks ago, Tom, that NYPD put on their Twitter his photo, his name in relation to 2 different sexual assault incidents. One being a sexual assault that we told you about in the piece, another being an attempted sexual assault. So he was known to police. He did appear in court today. He did not make a plea, but he is being held without bail due in court next Wednesday.
Okay, Marissa, and you are there at the marathon. Crime has been a problem in New York City lately. Have they stepped up security there for the marathon?
Right. So, I mean, security is always really tight around here. And I wouldn't say that there was anything that we have heard of that's being done differently as a result of this specific incident. But eyeballing it here and talking to people, seeing the security, they're definitely ramping up security overall because of what we're seeing in New York City. And I know that lawmakers have made a point to make sure that people know that security is present here.
Okay, Marissa Parra, we do appreciate it. Coming up, the urgent warning from Chrysler tonight, why the car company is telling drivers not to get behind the wheel of certain models, the dangerous defect they found, and the cars affected. Next. All right, we're back now with Top Stories Newsfeed, and we begin with the New York City fugitive caught at Disney World. Quashawn Burton had been on the run since November 2021 until a federal officer assigned to his case was on vacation and spotted Burton inside Animal Kingdom in Orlando. Burton is accused of stealing the identities of at least 4 people to fraudulently obtain $150,000 in federal COVID loans. 2 suspects have been arrested after leading Dallas police on a wild car chase with a baby on board. Aerial footage shows a driver leading police on the chase in a stolen Dodge Charger. He then gets out of the car, removing a car seat with a baby inside, and hops into a white SUV. The SUV eventually stops, and the same suspect is seen running into a daycare with that child. Both men were arrested. One of them is the baby's father. That child was not hurt. And a do not drive warning to some car owners tonight. Chrysler urging drivers to immediately stop driving some older model vehicles over those faulty Takata airbags. So far, 3 deaths linked to the airbags in the last 7 months. The recall includes 300 Chrysler sedans, along with Dodge Magnums, station wagons, Dodge Challengers, and Dodge Chargers from 2005 to 2010. All right, coming up, a historic jackpot, Powerball, balloons to more than $1.6 billion. Coming up, some tips, well, maybe not tips, but data you will want to know, including the numbers that come up the most and the top 10 states that have won the most jackpots. Is your state on the list? Stay with us.
If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd buy you a house. I would buy you a house. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, I'd buy you a car, a brand new automobile.
And you may remember that iconic lottery commercial from the early 2000s, but forget $1 million. What would you do with $1 billion? Well, that's what's up for grabs this weekend. Come here and take a look at the Powerball jackpot, a big, beautiful number, now a whopping $1.6 billion. Yes, billion. It's the world's largest lottery jackpot ever. If you choose the lump sum cash option, you're walking away with more than $782 million. The next drawing will be tomorrow night at 10:59 p.m. Eastern. And if you don't know what numbers to pick, here are some lucky ones. In the last 7 years, 61 was drawn the most, dropping 78 times. It's closely followed by 32, 63, 21, and 69. And the luckiest Powerball number, number 24, drawn 45 times in the last 7 years, including just last week. And take a look at this. These are the top 10 states with the most Powerball winners. Indiana, number 1, with 39 Powerball jackpot winners since the game started in 1992. Rounding out the top 3, Missouri and then Minnesota. But don't press your luck. The odds of winning this jackpot, I know, here it comes, 1 in 292 million. But for $2 a ticket, and maybe a little bit of a mental dream there to escape your life, it's not such a bad reward. Not a bad risk for such a high reward. Thank you for watching Top Story. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.